Muslim. We don't need translation. I would like to say that it is only 8 months since I visited your country, and I could never forget our visit, because we found a real, very strong nation with strong ideas, with strong wishes and goals and tasks, and I must say, with the all respect that I have and the pleasure that I have, that you are one of the greatest leaders of the democracies in the world in this time. And we appreciate very much your visit to Israel. We have a lot in common. We are doing a lot in common. We understood very well your thoughts about the need to have partners who will make in India, because the first thing that the leaders of Israel at the time, at the beginning of the state of Israel as a new state in 1948, we thought that we should produce everything in Israel. And made in Israel was one of the greatest ideas and one of the most important tasks. And we understand that very well, and we are doing a lot in order to fulfill your ideas about Make in India. I only suggested that there are some projects that maybe we can do with India. And I know that you have accepted that, and we appreciate that very much. I know that there are a lot of cooperation with the universities, and the Professor Zilberschaft is here. B2B cooperation between businessmen in India and in Israel, and the president of the industry of Israel is here, and he was along with me with a lot of people from Israel, trying to find a way in order to invest in India and to make mutual projects together. And I really believe that there is a need, and I know that you're going to meet the Israeli government to create the ideas of G2G, as you are doing so very well. Also, when we have cooperation between B2B, sometimes we need the B2G and the G2B from both sides, and I explain it very well to the people in Israel, because they know what they want, and not always they are thinking about the needs of the other side. And I found you as one of the leaders that really pay attention to all the needs of his people, and pay also attention to the abilities and to the opportunities and to the needs of the other side. And we respect you very much. It is good, and it is really a pleasure to have as a guest one of the greatest leaders of the world today, Prime Minister Modi. Welcome. Welcome to Israel.
एक्सेलेंसी, मैं आपका बहुत आभारी हूँ। नवंबर 2016 में मुझे आपका स्वागत सम्मान करने का अवसर मिला था, और आपने भारत को समझने के लिए, भारत को फील करने के लिए अलग अलग स्थान पर भी जाने के लिए समय निकाला था, और हमारा भी सौभाग्य था कि हमें हर प्रकार से आपका स्वागत सम्मान करने का मौका मिला। लेकिन मैं कल से जब आया हूँ, मैं देख रहा हूँ कि स्वागत समारोह में पूरे इजराइल का एक प्रकार का फीलिंग मैं अनुभव कर रहा हूँ। आपने भारत में जो देखा पाया, उसकी झलक भी मैं यहाँ देख पा रहा हूँ, और इसके लिए मैं बहुत आभारी हूँ।
Excellency, I'd like to express my gratitude for this warm welcome that has been accorded to me. You came to India in November 2016. We had the opportunity of warmly welcoming you in India. And to really understand and feel India, you took time to go to different places to see the entire country. And I think it was also a matter of great fortune for us that we got this opportunity to host you at all those places. I also note that since my arrival yesterday, the warm welcome and the hospitality that has been extended to me, it has been so warm that in a way I can feel the entire country, Israel, the feelings and the sentiments that there are for us, for me and my delegation. And whatever you saw in India, in a way, I can see the glimpse of that over here since my arrival. Once again, let me express my gratitude.
आपने भारत में एक शब्द को प्रारंभ किया था, मेक विथ इंडिया। और मैं कल ये अनुभव कर रहा हूँ कि कईयों के मुंह से मैं आपका ये शब्द सुन रहा हूँ, यानी आपका ये विचार कैसे प्रफुल्लित हुआ इजराइल में, वो भली भांति मैं अनुभव कर रहा हूँ।
Excellency, you in fact started a phrase when you were in India, and that is make with India. And I feel that since my arrival yesterday, I have seen that echoed by many people, and I think what you started has now percolated to all levels, and I feel that really since my arrival yesterday.
दुनिया में ट्रेड और कॉमर्स की डेफिनेशन में G2G, B2G ये सारे शब्द प्रयोग आपने किए, लेकिन रियल में मुझे लगता है हमारे बीच तो है आई फॉर आई, आई विथ आई। यहाँ मैं वो आई फॉर आई जो पॉपुलर वर्ड है उसका उपयोग नहीं कर रहा हूँ। मैं इंडिया का आई, इजराइल का आई। तो आई फॉर आई, आई विथ आई, मैं समझता हूँ ये टर्मिनोलॉजी पक्की मुझे नजर आ रही है। और जब हम लोग बोलते हैं इजराइल, तो हमारे लोगों का फीलिंग आता है इजराइल इज ए फ्रेंड मीन्स ईच रियल फैक्ट इजराइल। तो काफी मैं यहाँ अपनापन अनुभव करता हूँ, और आपने जो समय दिया, स्वागत सम्मान किया, और मैं देख रहा था कि आप प्रोटोकॉल छोड़ करके बाहर रोड के किनारे तक लेने के लिए आए। ये भारत के 125 करोड़ देशवासियों के प्रति आपका जो प्यार है उसकी अभिव्यक्ति है। मैं उसको विशेष रूप से आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ।
Excellency, you in your introductory words, you said all those phrases which are used in the world of trade and commerce, that is G2G, B2G, etc. But in the real world, I mean, in what we see in reality today, there is eye for eye and eye with eye. And when I say eye for eye, I don't mean the popular saying, but what I mean is India with Israel, India and for Israel. And when we say this, we also feel that Israel, the full abbreviation would be Israel is a real friend. And I have really felt this feeling of kinship. I feel absolutely at home here, the warmth that has been emanated by everyone that I have met here. And Excellency, you yourself, you broke protocol, you stepped out, you came onto the road to receive me. And this is a mark of respect for the entire Indian nation, comprising 1.25 billion people. Excellency, you have expressed your love and your sentiments for our country. For that, I'd especially like to thank you and express my gratitude.
Thank you, sir, very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Press, thank you very much.
Trying to dethrone Netanyahu. Again, what happens here, what happened last night, what will happen in 6 days on Monday will really influence the whole way the left bloc works together or doesn't work together, which means if it doesn't work together, it'll be much harder for the left to take Netanyahu off of that chair.
The choice quickly in these runoff, is this a stark difference? We have a political newcomer, we have a former defense minister, we have an experienced MK, we have someone who's not even an MK.
Experienced MK, a real socialist, a real peacenik apparently as well. Not apparently, he is a peacenik compared to Avi Gabi. Avi Gabi has just basically said, I support the two-state solution. I think that we're going to a binational state. Other than that, he doesn't really say much about when it comes to diplomatic stuff. And on the socioeconomic issues, here's a man who was the CEO of Israel's largest telecom. He came from a party, Kulanu, which is far from social democrats. He took over the party in only just a few months. He left the government a year ago, joined the Labour Party about half a year ago, and here he is in the second round against Amir Peretz, doing the unbelievable, even comparing himself, I think a bit too early, to Emmanuel Macron. it's a big difference.
Well,
Let's just leave it at that.
hot. When you're hot, you're hot. So
Right.
All right. Big story, of course, we'll follow in the days ahead. Chloe?
So I brought in a English language Turkish daily paper called Hurriyet Daily News. And the headline is "The Government Voices Fury at CHP's Justice March." Now, this Justice March is a really big story in Turkey. I don't think it's been really making the headlines as much as it should be, so I'm happy that it appeared on the cover of today's Hurriyet. And basically what it is it's the CHP, which is the Republican People's Party, which is the main opposition party in Turkey, launched a march starting on June 15th from Ankara all the way to Istanbul. So it's about 265 miles during a heat wave. And basically the march is in protest against the April referendum, which gave President Erdogan, a bunch more powers.
One-man rule, basically.
Exactly.
And the first large-scale protest that we're seeing since that referendum.
Thousands of people joining in and out as they move. And actually what the article is about and what people are warning about is as the march is supposed to arrive in Istanbul on July 9th, and there's expecting a really big rally with thousands, probably tens of thousands of people to rally in Istanbul. And people are warning against provocations, against possible confrontations, and basically the march is, to protest what people are seeing as the erosion of democracy in Turkey. It's just interesting to note that there have been since the last year's coup, there's been 50,000 people arrested, 160 which are journalists, 130 media outlets have shut down, and 150,000 people have been suspended or dismissed from their jobs. And of course the AKP, which is the ruling party in Turkey, is trying to shut this march down, and they've accused the protesters of cooperating with terrorists, with Kurdish militant factions like the PKK, and acting on behalf of the perpetrators of the coup.
Important story, developing story we'll stay on top of. Ami, what else you got for us?
To the Jerusalem Post, they're leading with the Modi visit, and they have an analysis there by Herb Keenan. The headline there is "Don't Turn Modi into Rabbi Rick Jacobs." Rabbi Rick Jacobs is the president of the Union for Reform Judaism, basically saying, kind of jabbing at Netanyahu. Netanyahu is someone who doesn't live up to his promises. He promised egalitarian prayer at the Western Wall. Look what happened there. He's saying don't promise too much to Narendra Modi, and warning kind of Modi that Benjamin Netanyahu is someone that really can't be trusted. Yesterday we spoke about a bit about yoga. If you remember,
we did. And it came up in the speech. How crazy is that?
Can I read that? Because yesterday I giggled, and I have a feeling I might giggle just a bit now,
Yeah,
if I may. So Benjamin Netanyahu was looking at Narendra Modi while he was speaking, and he said, "When I do a relaxing Talasana pose in the morning and I turn my head to the right, India is the first democracy that I'll see. And when Prime Minister Modi does a relaxing pose of Vasisthasana and he turns his head to the left, Israel is the first democracy that you can see." I myself...
Yoga, we joke, yoga is apparently joining these democracies together.
Well, I thought I tried it out myself this morning, and I did this Talasana pose, and I looked to my left, and all I saw was my fridge with a lot of bills and dishes that I had to do. Didn't work out for me, Jeff.
Modi's inspiring you.
Didn't work out for me.
Have you done that yoga pose, Chloe?
I mean, I do yoga, but actually I'm not familiar with these two poses, so I'm not sure.
Do you think Benjamin Netanyahu actually does that? He did that, or someone told him you're going to say this word? And...
Benjamin Netanyahu, I can promise you. It's a short answer, no. Okay. Does not do yoga.
You heard it here first. All right, Chloe.
So I brought in Arab News, which is an English language Saudi paper, and a story is soldier killed in Qatif terror attack. Again, this is a story that doesn't. This is about sort of Qatif is a Shiite opposition hub in Saudi Arabia. There are militant groups there who are fighting against the government, and it's a movement we don't hear too much about. Of course, this is on the cover of Arab News because a Saudi soldier was killed in yesterday's attack where a patrol was hit by an explosive projectile. But basically there's this neighborhood called Al Masora and Awamiya, and they're very rundown neighborhoods, and the government is trying to develop these projects in those neighborhoods. But of course, the Shiite opposition doesn't want these construction projects because they benefit from the fact that these are these abandoned buildings and they can use them as hideouts. But again, this story is about basically the wider sectarian tensions.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, Ami, last one.
Last one from Haaretz, Israel's left-leaning broadsheet. Interesting story below the fold. Egypt and Hamas planning deal that would distance the danger of war in Gaza and weaken Abbas. This is a move that's supported by the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia, with no significant opposition from Israel. And this compromise is going to require Hamas to make some concessions, but will mainly affect Mahmoud Abbas, the chairman of the Palestinian Authority. It's going to become further removed from his influence in Gaza, which is basically almost close to nothing. Mohammed Mohammed Dakhlan, his rival, is going to get more influence. And it starts with, Egypt allowing more diesel gas in for more electricity for Gaza. Talking about 6 hours now. It used to be about half of that, 3 hours. Abbas gets less influence on the Strip. Dakhlan gets more. Egypt gets more influence on Hamas.
A lot
That's
of
pretty
drama
much the quid
in the Gaza Strip. All right, both. Thank you guys so much for being with us here on the Press Review. Still to come, we're going to go live to this press conference in Jerusalem at the King David Hotel when it begins. Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, and Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, will speak before reporters, and probably, they'll bro hug. Also, a big day of drama in Israeli politics. These two new faces vying in the runoff to become the leader of Israel's left-leaning Labour Party.
I'm feeling like in the top of the world, and I feel like a dream come true to me.
And Israeli basketball NBA star signs with the Golden State Warriors. Why are the Royals laughing? It's a pretty easy answer.
Our world is becoming increasingly connected. 6.5 million Wi-Fi-enabled devices are now shipping every day, and global consumer internet traffic is growing exponentially. We are creating breakthrough technologies that connect millions of people and billions of devices. And as we collaborate with the world's leading service and content providers, we're transforming the way billions of people connect to their digital world, securing our place as the most trusted business in technology. We are Eris, and we're powering your digital world.
It is easy to have misconceptions about the Middle East.
Quand on vient faire son métier de reporter ici, c'est pas pour faire de la figuration. On évolue dans une région sensible où chaque mot compte.
It would be easy to settle for just one point of view.
يهمني أمر تعدد الثقافات.
I've always seen this sort of misunderstanding of this region.
In the most sensitive area of the world.
We work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no room for mistakes.
We want to make sure that the viewers get the full picture from all angles and break down the complexity of all these issues affecting us.
Our duty is to show the whole picture.
C'est sans doute le meilleur endroit pour analyser et décoder l'actualité internationale.
To explore all the angles.
Telling the precise story, just the facts, nothing else.
To tell you the whole story.
وجهات النظر المختلفة، الآراء المتضاربة أحيانا تجعلنا نقدم أفضل المعلومات.
To give a voice to all the players.
C'est mettre en valeur la liberté d'expression.
This is much, much bigger than any of us.
I-24 News. See beyond. Welcome back to Daily Dose. The drama continues in Israeli politics. At this moment, a quick recap before we introduce our special guests of yesterday's drama. Tens of thousands of left-wing Labour Party voters, they headed to the polls in the primary for the Labour Party. Former leader Isaac Herzog lost. He came in third place. So the top two politicians who advanced to the runoff in just a few days, less than a week away, former Defense Minister Amir Peretz and a political newcomer, Avi Gabay. Gabay, a former Environment Minister, never held elected office, only recently joined the party to run for the leadership position. At this point, not even a member of Parliament. The Labour is trying to recoup after stinging recent parliamentary defeats, and Gabay believes he could be the one that injects new life in the party.
In a few months, we totally changed the discussion inside the Labour Party. From talk that said there is nothing to do, into talk of change, talk of hope, talk of victory. The voters have spoken their minds. We want victory.
All right, joining me in studio, we have a member of Parliament, Dina Dayan, with the Labour Party. Thank you for being with us. And also still with us is Ami Kaufman, who will jump in too, host of the Spin Room, has covered this story and will continue to cover this story as the drama unfolds. I know, Dina, that you supported Herzog's campaign for re-election. All right, at this point, maybe you know the question I'm about to ask. He didn't make it through, so you're down to two choices for the runoff. Peretz, Gabay, two distinct different choices. Who do you support?
It's not so easy now because, of course, it's politics and it's a camp of voters, and we are discussing it, and it's an inside discussion. I want to say first both of them, and I think also the primaries as a whole was very exciting for, I think, many Israelis and also for the media, and I think the Labour Party is the big winner from these primaries.
But if someone has to...
Of course, someone will be...
Are you prepared to say who you support?
I'm in the middle of discussions. I'm a part of a camp, of a political camp.
Wait for Herzog to see what he says first, right?
Of course, I'll wait for him.
And what he does, you'll do.
At this point, probably yes.
Right.
Of course.
Okay. Well,
as many voters of Herzog will do.
Yeah.
Because the
well,
people.
Obviously, as a Mizrahi woman, you should be very proud that two Mizrahi men have come to the second round.
Of course, I am very proud, and I think both of them are for me, are very good.
Let's
very
face it,
amazing.
Dina, you made a bad gamble. You had a bad gamble, and it's very surprising, I think, if I can say, for a Mizrahi woman to not at least go with one of the Mizrahi men. Here, you said on our show on the Spin Room 10 days ago. No, you said, first of all, you said that the Labour Party has neglected the periphery and Mizrahim, and what did you do? You went with the elite Ashkenazi man.
First of all, Herzog is he's a good, very good person, a very good politician that you can count on. The people who knows him knows that. And second of all, if you don't try to do something, then you don't make mistakes. So people who does things, then they do mistakes.
Yeah,
so
let's listen
what
to some
can
of
I
the
do?
remarks from Ami's show, The Spin Room.
Of course.
This language.
Are you going to go all the way?
Oh, of course.
You tweeted on Friday that you're going to go all the way.
I'm going to go all the way.
Is there any pressure on you to join?
Of course.
Can you say from whom?
Everybody.
From everybody.
Everybody.
Out of all the politicians that are competing, well, here, you said to me on the Spin Room,
yes,
I believed you all the way. You didn't go all the way.
I didn't. It was the last 24 hours.
Oh, come on.
Listen. No, it's true.
If that's true, if this decision was made within hours, why?
If I wouldn't do it, if I would do it in advance, then I wouldn't say things like that. I would stay quiet. Every campaigner will tell you that. I was so sure. And remember, I'm a very freshman in politics. It's my first big debate, my first big primaries. It's very hard to make this decision, and there was a lot of pressure on me from almost all the other candidates.
Is there still pressure on you right now to make a decision and make it quickly?
There's a lot of talks to me all the time, and trying to understand where the wind goes. I think I will tell Herzog what I think. I will tell him in person.
We talked about before, Ami and I, just what this party needs to do different, something different to get new voters and new life. What issue is important to you for our viewers who may be voters or care about the Labour Party's future? Why should they come back to Labour if they've left?
Again, I thought, and that's why I went with Herzog, I thought we should open the lines and let other people go in. Herzog was speaking about bigger primaries for all people that everybody can vote in, and I believe that was the solution. For me, it was the biggest solution, because the people from the periphery and also young people cannot get into to the leadership of the Labour Party, and this is a big problem because we're stagnative, we're stuck. So. For me,
you had a lot of criticism. You had a lot of criticism for Amir Peretz as well back in 2006 when he took the Ministry of Defense. How can you vote for? How can you support him now at all?
I didn't say I'm going to support him. I said I would.
Well,
you're a freshman politician, but giving experienced political answers.
I would agree with that.
At this point, I have my own thoughts, and I will tell them.
Yeah, you're waiting for her. Okay, she's waiting.
What can I do? I can't tell you first. I can tell you first.
What about Gabai's, background? Just as a very wealthy businessman, only left a year ago. Questions about how committed he is to social issues.
I don't know. Again, for me, these points that you are saying now was the reason that I went with Herzog. Amir Peretz taking
defense ministry,
and Avi Gabai that is a little bit too capitalistic for me. That's why
just I didn't. A little. He's very capitalistic.
Exactly. So it's very hard for me. It's not my first choice. My first choice was Yitzhak Herzog, and I'm standing behind it. Although he's an Ashkenazi.
We're going to continue this discussion. We are keeping an eye on that press conference, and we're going to jump in when it happens. Here's a live image. Hasn't happened yet. When it does, between Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu, we will take it to you live. live until we're back with Dina Dayan. First of all, thank you for being with us. We know you don't have an answer. You're not prepared to say an answer, but you're willing to be here talking with us, and we appreciate your time.
Of course.
Why has Labor struggled so much in recent years, do you think? And aside from political issues, we talked about perhaps other recent, Jeremy Corbyn, Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
That they have a completely new message, a completely new energy. Does one of these men have new energy that you can feel that is better than the energy of the other?
You know, for a politician now, the right thing to say is, of course, both of them. But I feel we have a big leadership problem in the left wing of Israel. And this is one of the main problems that we are dealing with. And I think also this was another reason for me to support Herzog. The problem is that other people who want to come into the party are very afraid to do so because they know that the party will look. It's the 11th mayor that chairman chairman that we are changing in 10 years or something like that. This is crazy. So I thought this was my reasons. I thought we should keep up with Herzog, open the lines. Okay, but this is not going to happen now. So it's a hard decision, and I don't think it's going to be the Mashiach of Mifleget HaAvoda now. Yes, I think Messiah of Mifleget HaAvoda now.
Dina, have you spoken with Herzog today?
I spoke to him.
I mean, obviously he was hoping for different results.
He called me maybe 10 minutes after the votes came. He told me everything is okay. He sounded optimistic. He was sad. I was sad for him. I think there's no gloat, not in the party. People don't. All the things that I see are talking about Herzog and saying how now, yes, of course, now they say how good he was, and of course, no, but people don't say, oh, he was so bad that we threw him.
Let me bring in Ami, and Ami can, just to bring both of you in, and maybe a broader view question, and if you want to jump in with Dina. But what are Herzog's options now? With his political future, what does he have? And then, of course, I'll ask Dina, what does she think he should do?
Look, Dina's not in a really great place right now because she.
I agree. She's in a great place right now.
I mean, we like having her on the show, but it doesn't look good. First of all, as we saw, to say that you're going all the way to the end and not go all the way to the end. But you had an explanation. Whether we accept it or not is another story. But
she was here to give a reason.
You have to agree that it doesn't look good when someone gambles on the loser. Let's just face it. That's what happened in the end.
You know, I was not sure he's going to win, but I couldn't do something. I understood that I have to take an action. I'll tell you something. For me, looking at politicians that can decide something or say something and don't do it because they're afraid from people who say that they are not coping with
it. Doesn't look good. It doesn't look great, and it also gives fodder to those people that I think you mentioned before during the break. People who thought that your candidacy was kind of a straw candidacy because of someone who used to work with Herzog before. Suddenly, in the last minute, you joined forces with him. People are wondering, what was it all for? Was it all a hoax? What do you say to those people?
Was it really the last 24 hours?
It was 24 hours. If it was something that I would, think about in a long term, it would be like Amiram Levin did 2 weeks before the elections. We had enough time to do that. For me, it was really a last-minute decision. I should have decided whether I go to the polls or I do something to help one of the people that I thought could take the winnership. And it was not a very, very easy decision to do.
For our viewers just joining us, let me just remind us that we have, as you can see on the screen there, a live image showing there it is, the press conference that's set to begin soon with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and Benjamin Netanyahu will speak publicly at the King David Hotel in Jerusalem. When that happens on the stage, likely, as Ami knows, they probably will hug, maybe do some yoga, who knows, but they're going to speak together publicly, and then they're also going to sign several MOIs, memorandums of understanding, and that'll be a big ceremony before a full day of travel as well. When this happens, we'll take it to you live, and back in studio again, we're with Ami Kaufman, host of The Spin Room, a political expert, American politics, Israeli politics. He knows it all, and had Dina Dayan, who's our honored guest with us here in studio, member of the Labor Party, about 10 days ago, less than 2 weeks ago, speaking about your pledge to go all the way, the decision, you're saying last minute to come out and back Herzog. So we're talking about these issues. I guess from your analysis, just as like a political expert, what do you make of who voted, who didn't vote, the fact that there were several Mizrahi candidates. What does it mean, I guess, when you take as an analyst? What does it mean for labor?
Let's talk about the Mizrahi first. The Mizrahi first is a really, really important issue. The fact that this is a party that was seen as elitist, as Ashkenazi, that didn't care about Mizrahim, that didn't care about the periphery, that didn't care about the working class. Suddenly, two people who are Mizrahim are now vying for the leadership. This is very, very substantial. When it comes to the voting and the numbers, 59% voted from the party eligible voters, 59% compared to 52% in 2013. That's a pretty big bump.
It's surprising, correct?
It's a surprising bump. A lot of people thought, that voters were actually in despair, that they weren't going to come, that it was too hot to come, by the way. They came out in quite big numbers. However, some people didn't come out, Jeff, and that is the Arab sector. It's very disappointing. It'll be interesting to see what Dina has to say about that. But my 2 cents about that is that it may coincide with what happens with the Arab sector in general, who are less participatory in the Israeli system and the democratic system to begin with. They don't come to the general election as well. They do not have faith in the Israeli democratic system. And it looks like they don't have faith anymore in the Labour Party.
Dina, do you want to respond to that?
I think it's good analysis, very sad one, because of course for me the Arab citizens of Israel should be very important, and we should hear them in political issues, of course. This is a very right analysis, and also the
Do you think any of these 2 candidates, Peretz or Gabay, can bring back those Arab voters to the party?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that, because I think. Listen, I think, first of all, again, these primaries were very good for the Labour Party. I think it could be an opening for the Labour Party to the Israeli awareness, and it's good that 2 Mizrahi candidates are in the head now, head by head. Whether it's going to be a big news for being able to cope with the Likud in the next election coming next year, I think coming next year, it's going to be very hard unless they'll open the lines again and make
one of the reasons I guess he went with Herzog is because of his vision of having a bloc, left-wing bloc, whereas both of these candidates, both Herzog and Peretz, they won't do it, which means maybe we could see the end of the Zionist Union with Tzipi Livni and her party.
Again, this was one of
So just make things harder. Both of these candidates, it doesn't look like it's going to make things easy for the left, Dina. It looks like...
No, exactly.
If I could argue that...
So you can understand me.
There's a race, basically, to lead...
You're just saying what I thought. There was Shabbat before my decision. And on Shabbat, we don't have phones, so I had time to think. And let me say that, I'm a politician.
You are now. We have to leave it here. Thank you guys so much. Member of Parliament Dina Dayan, Ami Kaufman, thank you so much for that wonderful discussion. Here now, Prime Minister Modi and Netanyahu.
I would like to ask the Ambassador of Israel in India.
Please sit down.
Ambassador Dani Kamon and the Ambassador of India in Israel, Ambassador Pavan Kapoor.
גברת מטל עם המצלמה.
The 2 Prime Ministers. We are starting now a ceremony of exchange of documents, of pre-signed documents in different fields, and the first of which is a memorandum of understanding between the Department of Science and Technology of India, DST, and the National Innovation Authority of Israel for the setting up of an India-Israel R&D and Technological Innovation Fund. This fund will provide for $40 million for R&D projects over a period of 5 years for technological innovation. The next 3 documents relate to the issue of space. The first is a memorandum of understanding between the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, and the Israel Space Agency for Cooperation in electric propulsion for small satellites. The second is a memorandum of understanding between ISRO and the Israel Space Agency for cooperation in geo-LEO links. And the third is a plan of cooperation between ISRO and the Israel Space Agency for cooperation in atomic clocks. I should add that the space field, the sphere of space has been identified, as we've heard over the last 2 days by the two prime ministers, as being one of the cutting-edge spheres in which our two countries will make every effort to cooperate together. The signing or the exchange of these three documents is the first step in a much larger and wider ranging space technology cooperation, of which we are very proud. The next agreement to be exchanged will be the India-Israel Development Cooperation 3-year work program in agriculture between the Indian Ministry of Agriculture and Mashav, the Israel Center for International Cooperation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This, of course, is an enhancement of our success story in setting up centers of excellence throughout India, and we will encompass many more Indian states and newer cutting-edge technologies throughout them. We're very happy with this cooperation, of course. The next MOU is between UP Jal Nigam government of Uttar Pradesh of the Republic of India and the Ministry of National Infrastructure, Energy and Water Resources of the State of Israel on state water utility reform in India. This is an agreement or a memorandum of understanding which will share Israeli experience in water management in specific cities within Uttar Pradesh, which will serve as a model for other states throughout India. I would now ask, if possible, that the two ambassadors leave the stage, and in their place, I would like to invite the two Director Generals of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of India and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Israel, Foreign Secretary Subramanian Jaishankar and the Director General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Yuval Rotem, for the next two documents. The first is a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation of India and the Ministry of National Infrastructure, Energy and Water Resources of Israel on a national campaign on water conservation in India. This is a public awareness. This is a public awareness document or agreement which will share Israeli experience in water conservation as a permanent campaign throughout India, of which we've spoken so much about, the two prime ministers have spoken so much about over the past few days. And the last document, but in many respects the most overarching and comprehensive one of all, is the joint statement, Israel-India joint statement, that focuses on the entire discussions of the two prime ministers over the days and the entire spectrum governing Israeli-Indian relations. Governing Indian-Israeli relationship. I should add that this document will be distributed to the media immediately after this, and it's overarching and comprehensive in how it lays for all of us a roadmap of where we will be moving and where we should be moving in this wonderful relationship we have between Israel and India. What I would like now to ask, please, if you could leave the stage, Director Generals and Ambassadors, and to ask the two honourable Prime Ministers if they could, we will now move to the press statements given by them on the podium. Thank you very much indeed.
What a great day. The first day of a historic journey. Your visit, my friend Prime Minister Modi, to Israel. You are making history. We're making history together. This is a deeply moving moment for me, both in personal, but also in national and international terms. Personal, well, I can tell you, I told this to Prime Minister Modi yesterday, that almost 30 years ago I went on a date in Tel Aviv in an Indian restaurant and produced two fine children. The food was great. So yesterday I asked Rina Pushkarna, who was the owner of that restaurant, to prepare this dinner for this date, and it was equally good. We also had a very moving Israeli singer of Indian origin. She sang a song hauntingly beautiful in Hindu, but also she sang a Hebrew song which the Israelis here are familiar with. It's called Ani Va'ata Neshane et Ha'olam. You and I will change the world. I have a feeling that today India and Israel are changing our world and maybe changing parts of the world, because this is a cooperation. It's a marriage really made in heaven, but we're implementing it here on earth. We discussed in our meetings yesterday and today, just now, with several of our ministers and your delegation, we spoke about so many fields where we think we can make a big difference. A big difference in water, in agriculture, in health, in every field, in so many fields. In the fields of that affect the lives of our people, their well-being, their employment possibilities, the longevity of their lives and how they live it. So we have decided, because Prime Minister Modi and I are, I think, not only wedded to visions, but we like to have our feet connected. We try to look to the distance, but have our feet firmly planted on the ground. We have empowered our staff to bring us concrete plans in these diverse areas by the 1st of January. So this is very practical. We're going to seek to bring to fruition these various areas which can truly revolutionize our relationship, but also the lives of many, many millions of people. Both in India, it's many hundreds of millions of people, but we're talking about beyond that even. We're talking about also cooperation in third countries and actually working together to better the future of the people of Africa. India is present there, Israel is present and coming into Africa, and we think that by joining forces in various areas that I just discussed and others, we can help the people of Africa as well. So this is very, very exciting, and it tells you how we are seizing the future. We also recognize that we are being challenged. We're being challenged by the forces of terror, the forces of terror that seeks to undermine our world, our countries, the peace and stability of our common civilization. And we have agreed to
meeting Mrs. Netanyahu, learning about your family, especially what you told me about your father, has taken my experience of a beautiful country to a whole new level. India admires the success of your people in overcoming adversity to advance, innovate and flourish against all odds. Friends, I'm honored to be in Israel on this extraordinary visit. In our modern journey, our paths have been different, but our belief in democratic values and economic progress has been a shared pursuit. This visit is an occasion to rejuvenate the bonds of our friendship, to compose a new chapter in our ties, and to jointly venture toward new horizons of engagement. Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have had productive discussions covering an extensive menu of issues, not just on areas of bilateral opportunities, but also how our cooperation can help the cause of global peace and stability. Our goal is to build a relationship that reflects our shared priorities and draws on enduring bonds between our peoples. Friends, Israel is among the leading nations in the field of innovation, water, and agricultural technology. These are also among my priority areas in India's development. We agreed that efficiency of water and resources use, water conservation and its purification, productivity increase in agriculture are key areas in deepening our bilateral cooperation. We are of one view that together our scientists and researchers would develop, build, and implement mutually beneficial solutions in the field. Our decision to establish a bilateral technology innovation fund worth $40 million for research in industrial development will help us in achieving this goal. We regard thriving two-way trade and investment flows at the bedrock of a strong partnership. Prime Minister Netanyahu and I agreed on the need to do more in this direction. Businesses on both sides should take primary lead in such efforts. This would also be our message to the CEO Forum tomorrow. Friends, India and Israel live in complex geographies. We are aware of strategic threats to regional peace and stability. India has suffered firsthand the violence and hatred spread by terror. So as Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu and I agreed to do much more together to protect our strategic interests and also cooperate to combat growing radicalization and terrorism, including in cyberspace. We also discussed the situation in West Asia and the wider region. It is India's hope that peace, dialogue, and restraint will prevail. Friends, our people hold natural affinity and warmth for each other. The Indian origin Jewish community reminds us of these bonds. It also serves as a bridge to a shared future. In recent years, we have been receiving a large number of Israeli tourists in India. At the same time, more and more Indian students are choosing to pursue advanced academics and research in your best universities. I am confident that the strength of these links, old and new, will hold us in good stead as we forge a partnership for the 21st century. Friends, around 150 kilometers from here, there is a slice of history in the city of...
And we're going to keep our eye on that press conference again. That is Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaking together about their memorandums of understanding and their increased cooperation, speaking now in Jerusalem. We're going to get now to another story and a special guest we have. Caspi averaged 5 points per game.
For 44 of the Indian soldiers who sacrificed their lives during World War I in liberate the city, that city. Tomorrow, I will travel to Haifa to pay homage to our brave Indian soldiers. Excellency Netanyahu, it has been a productive and memorable 24 hours in Israel. I'm sure the rest of my stay would be equally exciting. Let me also take this chance to invite you and Mrs. Netanyahu and your family to visit India. I again thank you for your warm welcome and hospitality. Thank you very much. Shalom.
Thank you, and I accept.